Ripple's Hidden Road acquisition is one of the biggest acquisitions in crypto history. It also could bring a significant increase in TPS as well as transactions. Let me show you this. Transactions per second and daily volume, 76.923 thousand and 2,315% on the TPS side from just this one partnership. So today I want to take a closer look at who Hidden Road is, what they offer to the public, as well as some interesting partnerships that have been uncovered. You got to see this. All right, let's go ahead and start here. I just want to show you Hidden Road's website, the global credit network for institutions, our services. They do S and precious metals, digital asset exchanges, and OTC. If you're not familiar with what OTC is, an over-the-counter transaction is something that is done, over the counter. It's not done on the actual chart. So if you are selling in $1 million or $5 million or $10 million worth of an asset, and you don't want to affect the market too much, you could try to find a buyer of that asset over the counter. And that's what these guys do with prime brokers. And then they have synthetics, OTC swaps, equities, commodities, digital assets, energy, and rates. They do clearing, derivatives clearing, sponsored access, and direct market access. And they also do financing, which are derivatives margin financing and derivatives asset margin financing. Some really unique qualities there. I wanted to better understand, how many licenses does Hidden Road hold, and a bunch of other information. I really get interested in this stuff, and I really want to drill down on all of the small bits, right? The things that could have a greater impact that I see a lot of other people in the XRP space just overlooking. And that's plain. That's vanilla. We don't want to do that here. We want to really understand this. So let's go. Hidden Road holds 60 regulatory licenses. Remember, Ripple already has one of the, for a company in the blockchain infrastructure space, they are one of the top maybe 5 companies in the world when it comes to licensing. It is so important no matter where you are doing any type of trade or settlement of that kind. And having these licenses could mean a key piece that Ripple gets access to because of this, right? The license includes, but are not limited to, UK FCA license for both investment and crypto services, US CFTC registration, and a Dutch AFM license under MyCar and MyFID. Really bad acronyms, but all good. Here is a breakdown of some of the most notable licenses. We did talk about the UK FCA, US CFTC, Dutch AFM, Dutch National Bank, of course, crypto service provider registration. And then I wanted to better understand some of the biggest partnerships. Zodia Custody. Hidden Road collaborates with Zodia Custody to provide institutional investors with secure access to digital assets through Zodia's interchange solution. This partnership combines prime brokerage services from Hidden Road with custody services from Zodia, ensuring secure and compliant digital asset management for institutions. Really good piece. Crossover Markets. Hidden Road is the first partner onboarded by Crossover for spot cryptocurrency prime brokerage services on the CrossX platform. This partnership aims to reduce operational friction and enhance trading efficiency for institutional clients. You also have Coinbase. Hidden Road has integrated with Coinbase International Exchange, allowing clients to access a broader range of digital asset trading opportunities. And also CME Group is here. Hidden Road partners with major financial institutions like CME Group to offer comprehensive services across various asset classes. I also wanted to understand, how will the acquisition impact Ripple? So here you go. Expansion and growth. Ripple's financial backing. Hidden Road anticipates exponential growth in its capacity to service clients. This includes increasing the customer base, expanding it into new product lines, and servicing more markets with institutional grade reliability. Man, imagine Ripple going into a meeting now with any kind of bank or financial institution. Hey, you need a stablecoin? We got that. You need a CBDC? We also have that technology. You need, a prime broker? You need FX? You need anything? We got all of that. We are plugged in. That's what they're going to be able to say. And that is huge. Just imagine where we're going to be 6 months, 12 months, 24 months from now. This could unlock a lot of other companies that might come to Ripple and say, hey, we think we would be a value add to be a part of this, ecosystem. Are you interested in buying us or something like that? Who knows? Integration of Ripple's technology. Hidden Road plans to integrate Ripple's products, such as the XRP Ledger, to enhance enhance operational efficiency, and expedite trade settlement. Additionally, Hidden Road will utilize Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD as collateral for its prime brokerage services. It talks about enhanced infrastructure for institutional clients. The acquisition positions Hidden Road to become the largest non-bank prime broker globally, offering a comprehensive suite of services, including clearing, prime brokerage, the financing across various asset classes like foreign exchange, digital assets, derivatives, swaps, and fixed income. They also have regulatory and compliance advantages. The partnership leverages Ripple's global regulatory presence and Hidden Road's existence compliance framework, enhancing credibility with trust in cross-border transactions, and of course talks about diversification of services. Ripple's acquisition allow Hidden Road to expand its offerings beyond traditional prime broker services, potentially incorporating more digital asset focused solutions and enhancing Ripple's own payment infrastructure. This is going to be juicy. All right, so Operator put this out. I like to go through things that he puts out. He, no kind of BS way about this. So let's go ahead and just get into this. A lot has happened in the last few days, and I feel like I don't really grasp the magnitude of what this means for the XRP ledger. Let's take a look at some numbers and address the topic from my beloved 1% perspective. Status quo. The XRP ledger as it stands now handles around 100 transactions per second. If we assume a ledger to continuously close and finalize every 4 seconds, this brings it up to 25 TPS on average. Besides TPS, there is a TVL and dollar value locked that we can measure and take a look at. Here is TVL 52 million, 24-hour volume $13 million. So here is that information. We already know that Ethereum currently owns the biggest piece of the pie. So let's quickly run those numbers as well. 46 billion for Ethereum. Let me keep going here. Status quo, it says comparing these figures alone gives us a good overview of a gap that we need and of course want to close with more actively on the chain. And here is a little bit TVL. XRPL has 0.11. The TVL of Ethereum. XRPL has 0.35, the 24-hour volume that Ethereum has. The cake is not a lie. How big is the pie of tokenization? Here is the math on that. It says, unfortunately, there is a catch. It says, we can't really take these numbers for granted and jump to a conclusion because only 1/7 appears to actually be locked up for DeFi, which is the metric we care about. So it says, so what we do is we crunch the numbers again and get the true TVL values for this entire crypto market. 86 billion, 1.3 trillion, 2.7 trillion in 2033 is what they're saying here. Now what? Now we assume that 1/7 ratio demands that the XRP ledger only captures 1% of this entire market to leverage all of its DeFi. How much new capital added to the current XRPL TVL are we talking about? So here is that information and those numbers. Looks like by 2030, 1%, you're talking about 13 billion. TVL increase of 12.9 billion. That's a 24,900% move. By 2033, you could be looking at 27 billion. This is only 1%, mind you. Okay. And that would mean a TVL increase of 51,823%. Here is that information using 1% of this money coming into the tokenization era. And then it also talks about Hidden Road. You probably already read Joel Katz's post on the new acquisition, but which is still subject to regulatory approval. So it's huge for the XRP ledger. But what about the numbers? How huge is this in real numbers? Here is that information. Clearing daily 10 billion, clearing yearly 3.65 trillion, transactions 50 million, 24-hour settlement. Here is the information from David Schwartz. I read this on when I went through this information yesterday, came out on Wednesday. 578.7 transactions per second, and each transaction takes 24 hours to be settled. And then it says Hidden Road, assuming that all the clearing and volume is settled via the XRP ledger, this would increase the daily money volume on chain a lot. It says 13 million USD and then 10 billion USD Hidden Road, right? So right now we're doing 13 million USD, and with just adding Hidden Road, that could be 10 billion, right? So that could be a huge increase, ladies and gentlemen. This would be an increase of 76,000%. Ooh, that was a weird noise I just made. All right. But last but not least, the amount of transactions that the XRP ledger would need to process continuously at any given moment without a break is, of course, Here, the increase of 2,315%, 25 now, 603 transactions per second is what it needs to be for Hidden Road. And here is the, the summary. Boston Consulting Group. I really didn't want to do that. All right. Boston Consulting Group equals true then. And so here is that information again. And of course, if Hidden Road plus the XRP ledger, man, we could be looking at some serious moves. I think I read, what was it? I did a video earlier where some bank was calling for a $12 XRP in like the next 3 to 4 years. And I'm like, come on, man. I think you guys need to be a little bit more open to adoption, especially how bullish the US is sounding. I mean, if the US is even like 1/10, if they come out 1/10 or 1/4 and they actually accomplish just, those things, it could just have an insane impact, let alone if they're going to go for the whole shebang, right? If they're going to replace America's financial system with blockchain technology, I think they are in trouble though. Okay. Like the Trump administration has been very vocal about anti-CBDCs. We don't want CBDCs. And if you've looked at Ripple's website recently, you will notice that nowhere on Ripple's website does it talk about central bank digital currency. It doesn't anywhere. I've looked so many times in the past. On the left side here, you have banks, crypto business, payment service providers, banks, and neobanks. Doesn't say anything about CBDCs. Even in the glossary, they have removed it, right? So they're worried about the Trump administration seeing that Ripple is involved with, CBDC development. Okay. If you are trying to move America's financial system, the treasury, all of those payments onto a blockchain, right? You're going to need a private blockchain for those transactions, and you're probably going to need a public blockchain for me and you to use, right? So, that looks like a CBDC. Now, they could, of course, thread the needle here. I don't know what that looks like, but they've made it really clear that they are not moving forward with CBDCs. So, is something going to budge there? Are they going to be able to create a system that is not a CBDC, but is, if it like walks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, right? Man, I'm aging myself with that one. Okay. Hidden Road is a global credit network for institutions enabling seamless access to credit through quantitative driven technology. Our products include prime brokerages, clearing financial across traditional assets, yada, yada, yada. So really interesting to see CME Group and Hidden Road on their actual website. And, if you're trying to, here, let me just Google this really. It's the next slide, Robert. Come on. You're better than this. All right. About us. As the world's leading derivatives marketplace, CME Group is where the world comes to manage risk. We enable clients to trade futures, options, cash, and OTC markets, optimize portfolios, and analyze data. Powering market participants worldwide is efficiently manage risk and capture opportunity. So that's who CME Group is. They're also partnered with Crossover. I went through that with you. Here's just taking a look at a little bit of Crossover, his partnerships. There's some interesting ones here, like BitGo is in here, Bakkt is in here. I've heard of like 4OTC, but not really. And some of these other companies, at least, I don't know. Some of this stuff, I've heard of Talos before, but some of this stuff is, a lot of stuff we haven't heard of yet. So it'd be interesting to see. And this is March 5th, 2025, right? This is up to date for Crossover. I wonder how much crossover Ripple will get with Hidden Road's partnerships, right? Because Hidden Road is connected to 300 institutions. Ripple is already connected with hundreds of institutions. Is that now number doubled? Is there overlap? Like, that's going to be my next task, is to go through all the data to find the overlap and how much like of a net positive this actually is. I will work on that for you. Also, we did talk about Zodia Custody and Hidden Road collaborate on off-exchange settlement solution. And we know Ripple acquires Standard Custody and Trust Company to strengthen regulatory licenses. Ripple has recently announced custody partnerships with HSBC, BBVA, and Zodia Custody. Standard Chartered backed Zodia Custody joins Ripple-owned Medicos Global Solutions. So just some, other connections that I was able to locate and find here. But, that is the gist of what Hidden Road is. I hope this video gave you a really good understanding. If you found value, guys, please hit like, please share it with somebody you know. And we're back. Let's roll. I will have the news and 2 videos out for you every single day going forward. I hope you're all well. Thank you for all the well wishes. I am doing much, much better.